Does your house look like this? Pretty basic house, nothing much, no detail, pretty boring roof. Windows are just pretty plain, and just little bits of stone here and there. Let's fix that. So, before you even start building, my number one tip would be your location. Now, people always go for like the best spot with mountains and cherry blossoms, but sometimes a simple little hill like this can always do the trick. So, I'm gonna get destroying these trees and I'll be right back with you. Alright, now that we have a nice clear area, I'm gonna talk a little bit about tip number two, which is terraforming. Now, when you terraform, don't make anything massive. Maybe add a couple trees, fix some bits and bobs here and there. Maybe like, hey, I don't like how this looks, or hey, I don't like how that little hill looks. Don't completely change everything, because sometimes it's the natural generation what makes it most beautiful. So don't over terraform, just little basic things here and there. Now that that's done, let's do tip number three, which is your layout. Now, your layout doesn't have to be with any fancy blocks like stone or planks. It could just be dirt, just to give you a general idea of what you want to do. And also, when your layout, adding a bunch of shapes is very important, as it gives your house character, it gives it a little more density, it gives it a little more something to a little bit more life, a little more action. Because if it's just a basic box, you're not going to get many rooms out of that, you're not going to get much out of that. So when you're building a house, when you're building the layout, just try to add as many, not as many, but a few shapes. Even just a simple rectangle with a square can do a lot. I actually don't like how these planks look. I'm going to change it to stone. Alright, I'm back. And as you can see, I filled it with stone and I went one by one on each layer to give it a little more height. We're going to create a block palette real quick to see which blocks I'm going to use. This is an optional choice. Maybe you already know what you're going to use, but I'm just going to do it to see a general idea of what colors I can use, what blocks I can use, what looks similar. Alright, I have a block palette. I have some white. I have these for walls. I try to go out of my comfort zone with this mangrove. And yeah, so right now I'm gonna go to tip number 4 real quick, if I can find the block. There we go. So I'm gonna use oak planks and strip logs, but I think I'm gonna use the strip logs for something else. And for now, let's talk a little bit about walls. Walls really make a huge part of your house, because that's basically the whole house. But don't go too high with your walls depending on your house. Like, this is a small little house to me, it's nothing that much, so you don't want to go too big with the walls. I'm just going like 5 blocks up, and you can choose to do the same. You can choose to go lower, you can choose to go higher. Alright, I'm done placing the walls, and as you can see, it doesn't look too bad. It looks nice. We're gonna add a little bit more stuff here and there, but for now, I'm gonna get rid of these planks and talk to you about the next tip, which is your roofs. Now, your roofs really play a huge part in your house. It really depends what kind of roof you use. If you use the typical roof, you use flat roofs, you use barn kind of style roofs. It completely depends. So I'm gonna test a little to see how these look. I don't quite like that for this house. Maybe it could work, but I think for now I'm just gonna use slabs. Yeah, slab would do the trick. And it goes with slabs. Well, these mud bricks go pretty well with slabs. I'm gonna use those later. Alright, and I think I'm just gonna go all around with these slabs. I think that'll look pretty good. Give it a good jungle little style. So I'm gonna be right back. Alright, I think the roof is done, and I actually think it looks pretty good. I think it fits the jungle vibe a little more. So now I'm gonna get rid of these blocks and go and find the next blocks that I'm gonna use. And as you can see here, it looks good, but one thing we can add that I like to add in a lot of my builds are separators or dividers. Something that divides one color from another, or one floor from another, or anything in general. It could be colors as well. So I'm gonna go with design like this, and I actually quite like that. So I think I'm gonna go all the way around the build with that. Okay, I actually think this isn't turning out too bad. I like the separators between the stone and the planks. I think it looks really good. Okay, now I'm gonna get rid of these blocks and get the next block so we can move on to the next tip. I'm gonna get windows while I'm at it. And windows will come later, but first I want to talk a little bit more about the next tip, which, let me get these blocks first and then I will tell you. Maybe some mud brick walls, because maybe why not. Let's first start off by breaking this, and the next tip will be your entrance. Your entrance, it completely depends on how your house is. It can really vary. Like right now my house is elevated and I want an entrance that goes up. Your entrance might simply just be a door. Your entrance can be a lot of things, completely depending, but just keep going with it. Maybe add a door, a couple details here and there, maybe a balcony out front like I'm doing right now. Maybe actually it'd be good if it connected down. Yeah, actually quite like that. But yeah, completely depending on what size your house is. All of these tips completely depend on what the size of your house is right now. But if you just keep adding details, keep adding these little things here and there, some stairs, some ladders, it can make a big difference. Like right now I'm adding these trapdoors as a balcony, which I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, don't be afraid if it turns out bad, because that's a normal thing that happens. Alright, now that that's done, I think I'm gonna go make the entrance for the door. And let's just put a block there, stair there, that way it looks, the door goes there. Now our next step is gonna be windows. So for now, I'm just gonna punch out all the windows that I'm gonna use, and I'm gonna be right back with you, and we'll talk a little bit more about detailing them. Alright, now time to actually place the windows in here. You know what, I might actually just start right now. I'm gonna talk about detailing. Detailing can be quite a few things. It can be from adding anything to plants, to things that you actually see in day-to-day life, from basically anything like walls. Like right now I'm gonna add these shutters so it looks like the window can open and close at any given time. So let's just do that and that. And that, I don't mind how that looks. Alright, now you can add a little bit of detail on the roof as well. Just detail anywhere makes the build a lot better, from buttons to signs to trapdoors to slabs. Any of those little details make a big difference in your build. And maybe we could add that there. Looks a little too bulky. Maybe I don't know, maybe we could get fences. Maybe that'll do the trick. See real quick. I actually don't mind how fences look. It looks more thin. So I think I'm gonna detail this window while I'm at it right now. Oops, I accidentally placed one. There we go. Okay, now I'm just gonna place this window and detail it. Okay, now that I'm done all these windows, I'm going to actually detail them like I said earlier. So here I could add some leaves and then some signs running across all of them, like so. And then maybe a sign there. And yeah, it looks pretty good. It adds a little bit more color. So I'm just some here. Add some signs. I'm gonna copy this design all the way around. Up here looks a little plain, so we could add a little overhang, a little roof on top of the roof, under the roof I mean. And there's trapdoors, and let me get rid of this, that. I actually think it looks much better. Alright, now that we're done with these windows, I'm gonna pick out a couple of these blocks and talk a little bit about texture. Now, texture is a very thrown out word, and not a lot of people understand what texture means. For me, texture is just giving the place a little more shine, a little more color to it, because if it's just planks, it's gonna look a little boring. If you just have stone, it's gonna look a little bit boring. In darker areas, you can add stuff like deep slate or tough, as I'm doing right now. And in places where it hits the sun more, you can add andesite to show that the sun is shining there. So yeah, texture is a thrown out word. That is a word that's used a lot, and it's just giving the place more the same color. Like having some planks here, maybe making it look rustic, a little more like that. Actually, I'm gonna change one of the roofs to like a typical roof, so I'm gonna be right back. Okay, I think that looks much better, and for like color, I'm gonna add some hay bales, maybe some bamboo. Just give it that spark of yellow and these separators. Separate these colors, and I'm gonna change this roof to jungle planks. So let's talk a little bit about tiny details. These tiny details can be anything from barrels to scaffolding to pots to lanterns to just spamming trapdoors everywhere to flowers to benches. It can really be anything. So don't be like, oh, but this doesn't look like a good decoration. Anything can be a good decoration. A bed as a bench can be a good decoration. A turned off campfire so that it kind of looks like a bench can be a good decoration. A carpet can be a good decoration. Don't be so picky and experimenting with different decorations, because it can always look nice. Alright, now that we finished that, I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite tips, which is color. People usually forget about color. It's kind of sad, because color is what makes the build stand out. It's what makes it shine. It's what makes it its own thing. Like, for example, right here, I'm gonna add this tower, which, in case if I forgot to say, you should add depth and shape to your builds. It gives your build something to look at, because if it's just a flat box, no one's gonna really want to look at that. So I'm gonna build up this tower and show you guys how I use color. Now I'm gonna add some of these separators, and then a little more of this bamboo and hay, because it looks nice and it's a nice pop of color. And then some more separators to go on to the next floor. Some more concrete and powder. Alright, now some more separators for the roof. And I actually want to experiment a little with this mangrove because I don't think I've ever used this in a build. So today's going to be my first time experimenting with it, so let's see how it goes. I actually think this looks quite nice. Alright, now let's break out some of this wall and add some windows. Okay, now I kind of want to add some depth like I talked to earlier, so I'm going to make these windows stick out. Wow, that actually looks so nice. Wait, hold on, I'm going to copy it. Okay, and yeah. And the last tip is don't be too harsh on yourself. People go online and look at other people's builds and like, oh, I could never make that, but don't be harsh on yourself because you made it. Be proud of it because it probably looks nice. Even if it doesn't, it looks nice to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you all have a good rest of your day.